Amidst bold heroes, none rose above great Admetus, who now stands bewitched within a husk of stone and clay. Argonus feels the power of the daimon leave him and enter that of his friend. In mere moments, the statue fails, releasing its stone grip on the man's soul. The hull of this ship has been crushed. Whether this was the result of sharp rocks is unclear. This golden torch may have been formed by man, but 'twas the god of It takes naught but a spark from the torch to give birth to a satisfying flame. The torchlit flame generates a small amount of heat, but offers little comfort to the wayward sailor. The torchlit flame generates a small amount of heat, but offers little comfort to the wayward sailor. This mechanism is not merely unusual. Its construction is beyond the imagination of most craftsmen. Argonus pulls the handle, but nothing happens. It seems the mechanism is incomplete. As soon as a torch touches oil, flames immediately begin to dance within the brazier. As soon as the oil catches, shadows begin a mesmerizing dance upon the stone walls. It takes naught but a spark from the torch to give birth to a satisfying flame. Thanks to the gift of sight granted to him by the witches, Argonus recalls and recites the words spoken by Stheno.
Μίλησε φίλε και πέρασε.
As the doors part, the smell of blood rises to greet him. Rattled breathing leads Argonus to a broken form, half hidden against a stone wall within this dark chamber. When the figure finally speaks, a voice is soft and filled with pain. Come no closer, Argonaut, else you be brought low like many men before you. Even though I, Euryale, refused to let my gaze fall upon them, I offer no excuses, no defense. My acquiescence of my twin Stheno has made me culpable for their deaths as well. Euryale pauses for a moment, catching her breath before continuing. I can, however, offer you something else. Something you seek. My merciless sister herself. Stheno has used an ancient stone to enter Hades' realm. There, she shall descend to the greatest depths of the underworld and undo that which the hero Perseus set into motion when he consorted with the gods. Stheno shall free our sister Medusa from Tartarus, the dungeon of torment. Euryale struggles to continue. Athena was not content with the punishment Medusa suffered in life, so the goddess sent her there to live out eternity with the vile and the wicked. But Stheno shall not stop with Medusa's release. No. She shall rip wide the gates of Tartarus and set loose all souls, profane men and dreadful Titan alike, until the dungeon is empty and those it held spread like a pestilence upon the land of the living. For this is her vengeance against Perseus, against Athena, against all the gods, on Olympus and elsewhere. Stop her, Argonaut. Use our great horn to lure the mighty bronze giant Talos, for he can bring you to the gates of Hades' domain. Her voice raspy and fading, the Gorgon raises her head one last time. Forgive me, Mother. Let legend lay a wreath of mercy upon my wretched brow. And with that, Euryale, the penitent daughter of the sea goddess Keto, passes from this world and into the next. The Gorgon Euryale has followed her sister into the underworld, albeit on a different path. At first glance, this boat appears to be nothing more than a child's toy. However, upon closer examination, it is quite familiar. 'Tis the faithful Argo. His hand shaking, Argonus moves the model of his father's ship from shallow waters to the beach surrounding it. The location of this temple is unknown, and therefore disconcerting. Made of obsidian, this stone is not only smooth, but warm to the touch. If the size of this gold-tipped horn is indicative of the animal from whence it came, the beast must have been enormous indeed. Argonus presses his lips to the horn. While impressive, the deep sound fails to draw out that of which Euryale spoke. A fantastic creature set at its crown, this wooden harp is a masterwork. Argonus strums the strings, producing a surprisingly melodic resonance. Argonus strums the strings, producing a surprisingly melodic resonance. The temple of Apollo, vain god of music, has been sculpted and set here upon this map. As soon as Argonus moves the stone to the temple, the room falters and everything goes dim. Once the stone is held within the light, the world around Argonus wavers. At first glance, this boat appears to be nothing more than a child's toy. However, upon closer examination, it is quite familiar. As soon as Argonus moves the stone to the temple, the room falters and everything goes dim. The Argo, built by Argus of Crete, brought to ruin by the song of sirens, beached by the hand of a sailor. Once the stone is held within the light, the world around Argonus wavers. Though some features on this sculpture are difficult to discern, taken in its entirety, it is not. 'Tis a stone map of this very isle. Safe within his grasp, Argonus touches the stone to the temple. The world about him suddenly begins to dissipate. The stone is suspended in the light but for a moment before the world fades from sight. Argonus lifts the bronze cog, securing it firmly within the machinery. Argonus pulls the wooden handle, and with a groan of protest, the platform beneath his feet begins to move.
Fair Athena, I have returned. Reveal yourself to me, as your servant awaits.
I am here, Perseus. Do not be afraid. Did you accomplish the task I set before you?
I have, my lady. The Grey Eye revealed the location of Hera's nymphs, who in turn provided me with the sack you see before you.
And what of the other labors?
I have fulfilled them as well. Winged sandals from Hermes, a dark helm from Hades, and from your father, a great sword.
Well done, Perseus. But even all of this will not be sufficient to cleave Medusa's head from her shoulders. A final gift, a polished shield of gold. Use it wisely, else the Gorgon's gaze shall be your downfall. Now go, my warrior, and finish it. Argonus sets his torch into the oil, producing a bright flame within dark holes. Entranced, Argonus moves unconsciously forward, drawn to the lilting sound of the siren's call. As feet sink into the wet sand, a familiar voice rises above the haunting aria. It speaks to him as a lover might. Hold, my sailor. Go no further. Argonus is knocked to the earth as a rift opens in the sky, and a goddess once again steps into his mortal world, blocking the path ahead. The beckoning ballad momentarily fades from his ears, only to be replaced by Athena's words of quiet rebuke. Argonus, she says, shaking her head, her eyes kind. Is this what fair Athena has become? A map-maker's keeper? A deliverer of historians? You, of all men, know that no living creature can resist the web that the daughters of Achelous spin. The siren's song would surely lead you to ruin. For your sake, and that of your countrymen, I simply cannot let you pass. And with that, Athena, the goddess of reason, becomes a silent sentinel before a stunned sailor of the Argo. The skeletal soldier stands at the ready, the Hydra's heart within its chest. Barring the path ahead is glorified Athena, virgin daughter of Zeus himself, savior of Argonus, son of Argus. She will let no mortal man pass, only to fall victim to the siren's bewitching song. Though salty mists shroud their form, there is no denying the women upon the rocks. For even from here, the lure of the siren's song is strong. Freed from the rocks below, the remnants of a once great ship have washed upon the shore. Once the stone is held within the light, the world around Argonus wavers. As soon as Argonus moves the stone to the temple, the room falters and everything goes dim. While the frame is intricately sculpted, the doors lack adornment. A few moments after the stone touches the light, the world around Argonus begins to swim. Safe within his grasp, Argonus touches the stone to the temple. The world about him suddenly begins to dissipate. A few moments after the stone touches the light, the world around Argonus begins to swim. If the size of this gold-tipped horn is indicative of the animal from whence it came, the beast must have been enormous indeed. As soon as Argonus moves the stone to the temple, the room falters and everything goes dim. Once the stone is held within the light, the world around Argonus wavers. Safe within his grasp, Argonus touches the stone to the temple. The world about him suddenly begins to dissipate. This skeleton remains, ensuring that the harpies will never again alight upon these golden. Whether the golden skin of these apples was transmuted or grew as such is just one of the many mysteries upon this isle. The great white horse recognizes Argonus, and within moments carries the sailor of the Argo over the gorge and into the grey skies above. One can only speculate the strange purpose of such an apparatus. The great statue of Hades, god of the underworld, lies still. A few moments after the stone touches the light, the world around Argonus begins to swim.
May these words recount the strange toils of Argonus, chronicler and maker of maps, washed up on strange shores and awakened by the voice of a goddess. What brought me thus, kneeling upon white sands? 'Twas a fell song, carried from one wave to the next, until it met the faithful Argo and pulled her deep, shattering both bow and stern. Now she lies broken amongst sharp rocks, never again to bring men to great adventure. Oh, and what adventures! All that could have been and now will never be. They are as foam upon pounding surf. The fickle gods, the very ones to whom this sailor offered tribute, have scorned us, forsaken us without rebuke or counsel. They have cast me upon bedeviled sod and set horrors before my eyes. My brethren, the fabled Argonauts, are no more. Men I supped with just a day hence are now naught but pallid and sorcelled stone, to be ravaged by wind and storm. Indeed, I am a man of many sorrows, but shall I not press onward? For good or ill? Mayhap the blight that has taken these brave men has not overcome all. Though my body's weary, my brow feverish, I shall not abandon them. So says Argonus, son of the shipbuilder Argus. I have offered many a prayer to the gods of the sea, fervently petitioning favor while tossed upon great swells within dark storms. Yet it was not until my foot felt consecrated ground that any scales of disbelief fell from my eyes. Within my heart, I feared the very thing that has taken grip of the isle has rendered this temple nothing less than a tomb. For those who would worship here have succumbed as well, now the same ashen stone as those who pulled oars upon the Argo's salted decks. But within the midst of the dead, did mighty Poseidon, lord of all waters, arise and speak, his voice a trumpet within sacred halls. Anger and fury rode upon his words, and a great grief followed close behind. He spoke of the son of Danae and of Zeus, whom I know from my studies to be honorable Perseus. But even with this discernment, how that hero is culpable for such great sorrows is, in itself, a great mystery. And though I paid no honor to Poseidon, nor did I bring him tribute or sacrifice, grace fell from the sea god's hand. My form was spared his wrath, and the rush of great waters grew distant until they could be heard no more. Blessed are those who chance upon this manuscript, only to marvel, perhaps in disbelief, that a goddess appeared, let alone spoke, to a simple sailor. Whether for grandiosity or merciful boon, fair Athena has once again brought me from certain harm. Yet this time it was not from deep water's grasp that she pulled a drowning man. This peril moved quickly, set high upon slithering tails. 'Tis true, for I have beheld such. And what wisdom flowed from the lips of the goddess, parting to mortal man? Admonishment? Pity? No, naught but hope. Upon each honeyed word I clung, drawn to them as a moth to a distant light within a dark wood. Then a covenant was struck between fair Athena and this sailor. Find my stalwart companions, those who yet live and are scattered upon these shores. And though horrors surely await, she will lead us down gentle paths to a waiting boat and safe passage from this isle. Let it be known that while I did not sail with the Phoenician prince Cadmus, I knew one other who sowed the teeth of a dragon. Jason, hero of the Argo and burglar of the Golden Fleece. At a shallow fount, tall stones set about, and a great tree at its head, I stood, the teeth of the mighty Hydra within my palm. With the goddess's words in my ears, I raised my hand and cast my prize into the shallow waters. I thought myself prepared, yet amazement and fear welled within my breast, gripping my heart. Skeletal foot soldiers, their polished shields bearing the Hydra's mark, rose from the earth and looked to the trees, whose great boughs bore the weight of the Harpies, foul beasts who desecrate and destroy. But they were no match for the children of the Hydra. With sword and spear, the dogs of Zeus were driven from the fair glade and into gray skies high above. And so, by my hand, the grove of the goddess Hera was made pure once again. Not once, either within dream or vision, did this sailor of broad seas and salted winds foresee such a thing. Under a foreboding sky, my burdens were lifted for a heartbeat, carried aloft upon snow-white wings. though his form I had never before beheld, nor was the beast yet ascribed to legend. A name entered my mind. Whether granted by god or goddess, I know not. Only a name. Pegasus. But should I find such soundless words curious? No. For this isle does not keep its secrets close, but displays them in such a fashion to make my forebears weep with envy. Upon these white sands, and beneath its dark shadows, wonders both fair and foul are commonplace, each fighting to fetter my heart with chains of great hope or utter despair. Shall either exalt in triumph? This I cannot say, for while I soar above gray clouds on one glorious winged stallion, there are a score of dead men below, pulling at my soul, crying out for vengeance. Whatever has passed, and whatever lies before me, I shall never forget the commission laid upon my shoulders by the Queen of the Gods herself. The marvel of Hera's appearance alone would have rendered this simple man dumbstruck, if not for the tales told to me by trusted Argonauts. For I have sailed with men who consorted with gods long before my sandaled foot touched bewitched sand. They have set tall sails on dark rising swells that no other ship has traversed. They have gazed over wooden bulwarks at impossible sights and have seen the dust of vast armies hide the sun. Under starry skies I stood, beneath hero Jason's shadow, listening to their stories, fashioning maps of isles that guarded primordial treasures, archiving grand quests steeped in truth and bound for legend, tales to rival those told in the halls of my fathers. But those things are beyond me now. Mighty Argo rests forever upon a strange shore, her keel shattered, her memories carried aloft by dark waves and lost to boundless waters. Enough, for today is ripe with troubles of its own. If the gods wish to make themselves known to a simple sailor, to call upon me with great labors, I shall be at the ready and face them as my brothers did, as an Argonaut. Forgive this historian, as I find it impossible to fully comprehend, much less lay onto parchment, that which concerns the burden laid upon me by the daimon. It is as if proper words seek to evade me, refusing to form upon my lips. In the days that I stood ready at Jason's elbow, I can recount only one kindred encounter, one worthy of both bards and those who would gather at the poet's feet. Listen to this tale if you have ears to hear. We had brought mighty Argo to shore on Limnos, the Sintian Isle, under the cover of darkest night. As our feet found dry ground, we were set upon by towering men, pale like the moon itself, and laden with sword, spear, and axe. As Helion, son of Helios, fell, mortally wounded in the grave battle, a great billow of smoke appeared, and a disfigured hand formed within it. That is when I beheld Helion's soul rise from his mortal frame and depart this world. And although my mind cannot hold fast to this new encounter, nor this hand that I now possess, Thanatos' last words of mystery burn like flame before my eyes. For if I cannot harvest the souls of those who remain between life and death, then the son of Argus must suffice. I have done the very thing that my brethren could not. I have stared into the loathsome eyes of the scourge and lived to tell the tale. 'Tis true, for I have watched in horror as mighty Cepheus, brother of Amphidamas, did succumb to its devilry. Those who doubt my sight, the apostates and illiterate, might say what I beheld was nothing more than a fevered dream, summoned from human frailties. Others would spout that the vision was a trick of the mind, a glamour to take hold of weak and hopeful fools. 'Tis not so. I know the thing witnessed by this sailor was neither feebled madness nor dark illusion. The form that death now takes, the very one that has brought the men of the Argo to ruin, is that of the dread Gorgons. Never will my eyes forget this, nor my heart forgive such great transgressions. My will is unfaltering, and I shall neither mourn nor wallow in my infirmities. No, I will bring a reckoning upon the heads of these creatures and the brood of vipers that nest thereon. No one would fault the sailor if I were to recount, at great length and with great detail, the clash of the magnificent winged creatures I have just borne witness. For surely, even a novice storyteller could lift and embellish the battle for Hephaestus's gold with great plum and ardor. Nor shall I speak at great length about the god of the forge himself, although I would be remiss if I did not mention the great gift granted this sailor, a golden torch of unquenchable fire. I shall instead speak plainly on the thing that begs to be brought from shadow into light, the very nature of the gods themselves. I possess neither need nor desire to debate their existence, for I have received both mercy from their hands and been found wanting in their sight. No, it is not their divinity I question. It is their motives. Why would those who rule on high choose to inhabit stone visages on an uncharted isle? Why intercede with a simple sailor, graciously offering burden and blessing in equal portion? While these queries shall assail sleepless nights long after I depart these shores, one chilling question cannot be ignored. What unseen power do these Gorgons possess that even the gods would fear? I am a fool, wandering in a desert, muttering words of salvation and revenge through parched lips. Blindly I flailed about, searching for the blight that has overcome so many, and while each piece of the puzzle led me to water, I simply refused to drink. The Lord Poseidon himself revealed the first, when he spoke of the son of Danae and of Zeus. And while I knew this to be Perseus, I failed to recognize Poseidon's anguish was not bound to the death of his servants, but rather his lover, Medusa. Then the twin Gorgons, whom I had seen in a great vision while protected from the effects of their dreadful gaze by the eye of the Grey Eye. Did repentant Euryale not say that she wished to mourn her sister in peace? It is now obvious that she spoke of dread Medusa, a woman that legend reveals fair Athena once cursed to wear a brow of vipers and turn men to stone. The goddess herself, when first met, readily admitted her hand stirred the waters of spite and vengeance. Now I see clearly that this sailor must do more than prevent the death of his shipmates. I must stop this dread ripple from becoming such a great wave as to pour unhindered from Hades' realm and drown all I hold dear.